He had an opportunity to say the NFL was going to stand by the country and insist that players respect the anthem and not take a kneel. And instead, as Adam Johnson, who's here on set with me watching, says he punted. He punted.
He punted.
In other words, he just decided, you know, why bother addressing this issue? And instead, he found himself talking about things like how the NFL needs to understand what the players are talking about, why they're upset, why they feel this way. I mean, is this sensitivity training, Adam Johnson?
It sounds like sensitivity training, but what's really going on here, Trish, he has completely lost control of the ball. That's what happens when teams are 4th and long. They're forced to punt, and he punted, and it was a disgrace. Roger Goodell, come on, you know better than this.
You know, I like the football analogies,
leadership,
by the way.
To not recognize what's happening in this country and to instead say that, you know, we have a dialogue. And by the way, we would like for players to stand. It's our policy that they stand, but it's not a rule. Well, what happened to rules? They're rules when you go on the field, Roger. So why wouldn't you honor rules
you know, there
when
are
you're
rules
off the field?
in any workplace, right, David Nelson? I mean, let's not forget there was a Google engineer that got fired because he said some offensive things in an email about why he didn't believe more women were out there working as engineers. I mean, you're not allowed to. Yeah, sure, free speech. You can say that in the company of your own friends, in front of your own family.
Look,
you got all the free speech in the world. But you know what? When you go to work for someone and you're not representing what the firm, or in this case, the NFL, is trying to represent, you might have more of a problem.
There's a few issues here, and Adam's right. They did punt the ball, and it's pretty clear the meeting between Roger Goodell, the NFL, the players, and the owners, that didn't go well. There were no decisions made here. Look, the players have every right to protest if they want. The owners have every right to fire them if they want. And I, as a consumer and a fan, have every right to turn off the TV set if I want. We can all do that. Many, like
But we didn't
Adam
get
and
anywhere
myself,
on that, though, because that was asked, actually, specifically by one reporter. I mean, what were the team owners saying? And it seems to me that some of those team owners are scared. To which you know, look, there's a whole college league out there. I mean, maybe we need to freshen up the ranks of the
if you had
NFL
to give the
players.
edge, if you had to give the edge here, the players obviously they had something to say, and it looks like they came out on top. And we're going to see how this plays out in the fan base as well. This is in the end going to come down to money. You're going to see ratings go down. They've already started to go down. Look. For a lot of us, like myself, I'm kind of footballed out anyway. You know, I've been there, done that. You know, I now get back a good 8 hours every Sunday of productive time. I've probably watched football 10,000 to 20,000 hours over the last 30 years. So maybe it's time for a change. If they want to go this route, I think the fans will respond, and they're doing that right now.
Well, indeed they are. But again, you know, you think about the importance of leadership in situations like this, and I would only say that I've had an issue with Roger Goodell for some time, and it goes back to the domestic violence allegations, not just allegations. I mean, don't forget that
he punted that one too, Trish.
That horrendous video of Ray Rice and what he did to his wife in the elevator. And you know what? You're right. He did. He punted that one, too. He's punted on concussions. In other words, at some point, you got to stand for something, Adam.
Roger Goodell is a punter. That's the game that he plays. I don't like what I heard today. It disappointed me. And by the way, did you notice that he went through a whole litany of issues? Well, we talked about this, we talked about that. And then at the very end, he goes, oh, and there's one other issue that, you know, we talked about today. And that was our players' needs and what they're trying to express. Are you kidding me? I mean, think about it, Trish. You know, if you are working in a store, you're not allowed to wear a political pin. If you are a flight attendant, you're not allowed to wear a political pin. If you're a teller at a bank, you're not aware. These are businesses in the same way that these players are representing the businesses for which they work.
So,
I mean,
but that's why the team owners lay down some rules, and by the way, maybe stick together. And one team owner could call another team owner and say, hey, we're not going to put up with this. Why are they so afraid to do that?
They're afraid to do that because it's like a powder keg. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how angry the players could get. They might not want to play, and all of a sudden, now what are you going to do to field your team? It's like walking on eggshells, and yet the fact is you have to create rules and set up standards by which we can operate. And by the way, to me, not standing for the anthem is just as bad as turning your face on the cross. You don't do that sort of thing.
Well,
Trish.
he
It's
did say
bad.
we're trying to stay out of politics,
It
but
just
he's
goes
wading
against the
in.
way we're wired and the way we're brought up.
He's getting into politics here with all this. It seems to me that the economics at the end of the day are going to rule this, to David Nelson's point.
It always does.
It always does. I mean, you will see ratings decline. We will all get back those hours that we spent watching football. There's a lot of other things you can do with those hours, and maybe then the team owners will start to pay attention to it all.